My name is Megan Holloway. I'm 32 years old. 7 years ago, on the morning that was supposed to change my life forever, my father looked me straight in the eye and smiled. "You've always belonged here, Megan," he said calmly. "People like you don't leave. They stay and take care of their family." A few seconds later, my younger sister Chelsea walked into the kitchen, carrying her 2-year-old son on one hip and a stack of folders from our family's construction company in the other. She dropped everything onto the dining table. "I've got a spa weekend with my friends," she said without even looking at me. "Dad needs help at the office. Noah needs someone to watch him tonight. You're home anyway." I wasn't home, not really. I'd spent nearly 10 years keeping my father's business alive while everyone else in my family chased their own dreams. Chelsea changed careers every 6 months. My mother traveled with church groups whenever she felt like it. My father called himself the owner. I was the invisible engine that kept everything running. Every customer invoice, every payroll correction, every emergency contractor schedule, every permit application, every angry client, every employee who threatened to quit, they all came to me. But my name was nowhere. No title, no paycheck worth mentioning, no appreciation. Whenever I asked why I wasn't officially promoted, my father always gave the same answer. "One day, all of this will be yours." It never was. Whenever I wanted a vacation, there isn't anyone else who knows the system. Whenever I wanted to finish college, "We'll do that next year." Whenever I talked about moving out, "Your family needs you." Eventually I realized something painful. They didn't need me. They needed someone they could control. That morning was supposed to be my escape. After almost 2 years of taking online business courses at night, earning certifications while everyone else slept, and secretly applying for jobs across Illinois, I had finally received an offer. Not an interview, an actual job offer. Operations Coordinator. Harper Industrial Solutions. Downtown Chicago. A salary that was almost double what my father had ever paid me. Health insurance. Retirement benefits. Career growth. Most importantly, freedom. I hadn't told anyone. The contract was waiting for my signature at 11 o'clock that morning. All I had to do was leave. Instead, my father stood between me and the front door. Chelsea handed me her son without asking. My mother quietly locked the deadbolt. No one shouted. No one argued. They simply assumed I would obey. Just like I always had. My father folded his arms. "Family comes first." I looked at the clock. 10:14 a.m. Every minute mattered. Chelsea sighed dramatically. "You're seriously going to make this difficult?" I looked down at my nephew. He smiled at me. He wasn't the problem. He had never been the problem. Then I looked around the room. 3 adults, each perfectly capable of taking responsibility for the life they expected me to live for them. Something inside me finally snapped. Without saying another word, I gently placed my nephew back into Chelsea's arms, picked up my purse, walked through the laundry room, opened the back door, and stepped outside. Behind me, I heard my father's voice for the last time in 7 years. "If you walk away today, don't ever expect this family to welcome you back." I never turned around. At that moment, I believed I was leaving everything behind. I had no idea. 7 years later, the same father who told me I would never survive without him would be sitting across from me, asking for something only I could give. And for the first time in my life, the decision would be entirely mine. I didn't know where I was going. I only knew I couldn't stay. The city bus pulled away from Maple Street just as I reached the stop, forcing me to wait another 30 minutes. I sat alone on a cold metal bench with one suitcase, a backpack, and exactly $412 in my checking account. That was everything I owned. 7 years of working for my father's construction company had left me with no savings worth mentioning, no retirement account, and no property. Just experience. Real experience. I knew how to negotiate supplier contracts. I knew how to organize projects worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. I knew how to calm furious clients when crews missed deadlines. I knew how to read blueprints, prepare budgets, manage subcontractors, and solve problems before anyone else even noticed them. The only thing I didn't have was proof that any of it belonged to me. Every document carried someone else's signature. Every successful project had my father's name on it. I was invisible. By noon, I had rented the cheapest motel room I could find outside downtown Chicago. The carpet smelled like bleach. The air conditioner rattled every 30 seconds. The mattress felt older than I was. I didn't care. For the first time in years, no one could order me to make dinner. No one could tell me to cancel my plans. No one could hand me another list of responsibilities that somehow belonged only to me. Silence had never sounded so beautiful. That evening, I opened my laptop and started over. Not with job applications. With myself. I rewrote my resume from scratch. Instead of writing assisted family business, I described what I had actually done. Coordinated commercial construction schedules, negotiated with vendors, managed project documentation, resolved customer disputes, created reporting systems that reduced delays. Everything was true. I simply stopped making myself sound small. Around midnight, my phone vibrated. Dad. I stared at the screen until it stopped ringing. Then another call. Chelsea. Ignored. Then Mom. Ignored. The messages started arriving. Dad. You embarrassed this family. Chelsea. Noah cried because you left. Mom, come home. Your father is furious. I deleted every message without answering. Not because I hated them, because I knew exactly how the conversation would end. We're sorry you feel that way. Not. We're sorry for what we did. There was a difference. The next morning, I walked into a public library. I couldn't afford co-working spaces. The library became my office. Every day I arrived when the doors opened. Every evening I left when they closed. I applied for 23 jobs during the first week, 28 during the second, 31 during the third. Most companies never replied. Some sent polite rejection emails, others disappeared completely. Every rejection hurt, but none of them hurt as much as hearing my father tell me I wasn't capable of surviving without him. That voice stayed in my head. Until one rainy Thursday afternoon, an older man wearing a navy suit sat down across from me in the library cafe. You've been here every day, he said. I looked up cautiously. I'm sorry? I own the architecture firm across the street. He pointed through the window. My assistant keeps seeing you working here. I smiled politely. I guess I've become part of the furniture. He laughed. Maybe. Then his expression became serious. You're either writing a novel or rebuilding your life. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Finally, I answered honestly. The second one. He nodded, as if he'd expected exactly that answer. My name is Richard Lawson. He reached into his jacket and handed me a business card. We're looking for someone who understands construction operations. I looked at the card. Lawson Development Group, one of the largest commercial developers in northern Illinois. My heart skipped a beat. I don't have a college degree, I admitted. Richard smiled. I didn't ask about your diploma. He looked at the stack of color-coded spreadsheets beside my laptop. I asked myself why someone organizes job applications with that level of precision. He tapped one of the folders. People don't accidentally become this organized. For the first time in years, someone had noticed what I could do, not whose daughter I was. Not what my family expected from me. Just me. Richard stood. If you're interested, be in my office Monday morning at 9. He smiled again. And Megan? I looked up. Don't bring the resume that makes you sound smaller than you are. Then he walked away. I sat there for nearly 10 minutes, holding the business card, wondering if this was what opportunity was supposed to feel like. 7 years passed faster than I ever imagined. Not because life became easy, because, for the first time, every year belonged to me. I worked harder than I ever had before. Richard Lawson kept his promise. He hired me as a project coordinator. 6 months later, I was leading small commercial renovations. 2 years after that, I was managing projects worth millions of dollars. I finished my business degree at night, earned my PMP certification, learned everything I could about leadership. I stopped trying to prove my father wrong. I started proving myself right. That changed everything. By the spring of 2033, my business card read, Megan Holloway, Director of Operations, Lawson Development Group. Sometimes I looked at those words just to remind myself they were real. No one had handed me that title. No one had made room for me. I had earned every single letter. Then one Monday morning, my assistant knocked on my office door. Megan, there's a company requesting a meeting about the Jefferson redevelopment project. Who? She glanced at her tablet. Holloway Construction. For a second, time stopped. My father's company. The same company I had walked away from 7 years earlier. The company that had always insisted it didn't need me. Apparently, now it did. The conference room overlooked the Chicago skyline. Our executive committee sat on one side of the table. The contractors sat on the other. When the door opened, my father walked in. His hair had turned almost completely gray. His shoulders looked heavier. For the first time in my life, he looked older than I remembered. His eyes found mine. He froze. Megan. Nobody else in the room understood why. I simply smiled politely. Good morning. No anger. No bitterness. Just professionalism. The presentation began. Their proposal wasn't terrible. But the numbers didn't work. Material costs were underestimated. Insurance coverage was incomplete. 2 required licenses had expired. The financial projections relied on assumptions that couldn't be verified. As the discussion continued, my father grew quieter. Eventually, the committee asked for my recommendation. I opened my folder. I cannot recommend awarding this contract in its current form. Silence filled the room. I explained every concern, one by one, with documentation, with evidence, not emotion. When I finished, the committee unanimously voted to reject the proposal. Not because of my past, because of the facts. The meeting ended. Everyone slowly left. Except my father. He remained standing beside the table. I didn't know you worked here. I know. I heard about your promotions. I nodded. I figured. He looked around my office. You've done well. It wasn't praise. It sounded almost like disbelief. Finally, he sighed. I was wrong. Those 3 words should have meant everything. Years ago, I would have waited my entire life to hear them. Instead, I felt surprisingly calm. I know, I answered softly. He looked at me. Aren't you going to say anything else? I smiled. I already did. There wasn't anything left to prove, not to him, not anymore. He lowered his eyes. I thought you would come back. I almost did. What stopped you? I looked through the glass wall toward the city. I finally realized home isn't the place that keeps you. It's the place that lets you grow. He didn't answer. Neither of us needed to. He quietly walked toward the door. Before leaving, he stopped. I'm proud of you. I smiled. Thank you. This time, I believed him. But I also realized something. I no longer needed to hear it. That evening, I drove home through downtown Chicago. The sun reflected from the glass towers. The city felt alive. My apartment wasn't luxurious. It was simply peaceful. I made dinner, watered the plants on my balcony, opened the notebook I had carried with me ever since leaving home. On the very first page, I had written one sentence 7 years earlier. One day I'll build a life that belongs to me. I looked around my apartment. Every chair, every book, every photograph, every memory, everything had been built one honest decision at a time. I picked up a pen. Under that sentence, I added just 4 more words. I finally made it. If there's one thing my journey taught me, it's this. Some people will try to convince you that loyalty means sacrificing your future. It doesn't. Real love never demands that you disappear so someone else can shine. Sometimes the bravest decision you'll ever make is walking away from the life everyone else planned for you. So you can finally build your own. And looking back now, I don't remember the fear I felt when I walked out that back door. I remember the freedom that waited on the other side.